And we got a very, very special friend of mine in the building. She is a very close friend of mine. I mean, me and this woman right here fight like we done had a relationship in the afterlife and before life, or whatever life y'all want to call it. Me and this woman, we go way back. She was one of my probably my first, second, or third interviews that I had on the Sober Gang Experience podcast. When I first started my recovery journey, she was right there with me. So I hold her very, very dear to me. She was always there for me. And, along my way, we had our spouts, we had our little battles, disagreements, but that what makes for a good friendship, I think so. I got my special friend in the building again today, y'all. This is a special episode. I will be doing more of these. We're going to call it Addiction at Night because where I'm at in Arkansas, it's getting a little nighttime. Where she at in California, it's sunny and bright and all live out there. So we got the best of both worlds cooking up right now, you guys. So I'm just going to have a little decent conversation with my bestie right here, Melissa.
Hmm.
How's everything been going with you?
Um, Actually really good. I am just recovering from a knee surgery from a partial torn meniscus. I'm just now able to walk around. I've had to learn to bend my knee over again, putting on my shoes, finding happiness in the small things that I had not had for a good couple of months, being in pain, which also like really made me struggle with my sobriety. But now I'm going on 3 weeks of pure sober, no alcohol, no weed, no anything, no coffee. And I feel really, really good. So it's been a good journey. Sometimes I've learned that God sits you down for a reason, and I was doing way too much. Like I was trying to move, work 10 hours, 6 days a week, trying to be like all the dudes at my job and really trying to bust my butt. And our bodies aren't built that way. Our bodies are meant to rest. We're supposed to rest. We're supposed to feed ourselves. We're supposed to put back into ourselves. And I had to learn that the hard way. And when I was, in my process of surgery, before surgery, I was really struggling and it really took a toll on me mentally. And everyone that I thought was my friends left. Everyone that wasn't supposed to be in this new season in my life left and disappeared. I now have no conversation with my ex-husband regarding our children. I have my daughter who lives with me. She's 18 now. And, we, in the process of after my surgery, we had a spat, which made it really, really difficult for me to even want to talk to him because he had done some really, to me, disrespectful things that just wasn't right. I had told my daughter, like when I go into surgery and after I go into surgery, I want peace. Peace is in my house. If you guys have a spat, if you guys need to talk about something, you guys need to take that outside. Well, he chose not to, and chose to say some really harsh words to my daughter. So I really took that as, what, I'm good. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm not even going to talk to the church folks anymore. I'm not even really going to go to church anymore. Physically, I'm going to have church at home. I'm going to learn about God on my own and learn who Melissa is and learn to give myself self-love and to work out and to have a routine and to, as I like to say, show up for myself.
Right.
You have to show up for yourself. You have to, because when no one wants to show up for you, you got to show up for yourself. Because if you don't, then that's why we run back to addiction or to the old habits that we used to have. And I have been more diligent with therapy and going to therapy and really trying to learn who this new Melissa is. Every season comes, and in every season we have to learn to grow and expand our mindset, expand who we are, expand, the way we think, expand how we perceive life, how we perceive people, how we take things, if we take things personally, if we don't take things personally. That has a lot to do and goes hand in hand with staying on a sober lifestyle, being, truthfully, joyfully, and, wonderfully happy. instead of that fakeness, instead of that, oh, I'm happy, but faking it. And even though deep down inside you feel like crap and you really want to cry, or you're in your bed crying all the time, but when you go outside, you're putting on that fake smile, like, haha, I'm fine, I'm good.
Right.
That's like how I really lived my life for most of my life, for in my 20s. Even when I was married, like I really faked it to make it, even though I
Right.
was miserable inside. And so it was just, I got sick. It was when you get sick and tired of getting sick and tired of doing the same roller coaster over and over and again, that you really choose to live your life with purpose, live your life the way God wants you to live your life. It may look different to some people. You may still drink occasionally once in a while. Every person's lifestyle is different, but
Right.
it's really on us if we're going to judge other people, or are we going to judge ourselves and be more critical to ourselves and change the things within ourselves that may be producing certain things in our life. And I really truly, when I last talked to you on live, I was in that, I'm pretending that I'm good, but really deep down I know I have some issues.
Right.
I was struggling with PTSD. I was struggling with depression. I was struggling with, my eating habits and taking care of myself. I was just trying to figure out who I was. And I had just started a new job. I had all of these blessings that were happening, but I was bringing that stinking thinking with it. So of course it, had to slow down. Of course God had to sit my little behind down, because if he hadn't
Right.
sat my little behind down, I would have ended up dead,
Yeah.
or I would have ended up where like my kids hated me, or, whatever the case may be. Luckily for me, my daughter has been like the best blessing, because she's really stuck with me through it. And she's seen the growth and, has really been there for it all. And has even told me from time to time that, Mom, like, you're really changing. Like, I'm really proud of you. Or, now, like, she wasn't a girl who gave hugs, with all of the abuse that we ever went through, with, my ex-husband. She was never a hugger. She had become a kid that wasn't a hugger. And so
And that,
now,
yeah.
now she hugs, now she says, I love you. Now she's cool. She still has her
See,
problems, but
yeah, she's opening up. You can tell that sometimes a lot of things that we go through, or we dealing with as parents, we can have an effect on our kids, and sometimes our kids can be standoffish. Sometimes they don't open up as much. Um, but I see that you saying that your daughter is starting to open up a lot more. Like you said, she wasn't a hugger. Now she is. Now she's starting to open up, and now both of y'all are starting to have this bond, and you can see it. You can see it. So I'm
mm-hmm,
gonna take it back. I'm gonna take it back a little bit.
mm-hmm.
You're not talking to your husband, well, your ex-husband. How did that
Thank you.
affect? How did that affect you mentally? I know y'all wasn't together for a long time, but you said now y'all ain't on no talking terms. How do that affect you?
It affected me. Well, if it was the old Melissa, it would have really affected me badly.
Right.
But as the new Melissa, and because I was already taking the steps to really look into myself and really love myself and not take things personally, I got to a point where when he stopped talking, I was like, well, that's nothing but God. God needed you to be outside of my life, because he knew that I was either using you as a, like, I guess you could say, like, as a crutch, or you were using me as a crutch. And we couldn't evolve as people until we stopped talking altogether. And once I really started to love myself and really appreciated and really honored who I was as a person, it didn't affect me this time. It really didn't. It was like, oh, okay. All right, that's how you feel. Okay, that's fine. I'm still going to love my kids. I'm still going to see my son. I'm still going to do certain things. I'm still going to show up for them and show up for myself, regardless of how you feel about me, regardless of, you shutting down on me, because that was his, like, narcissistic attack. Like, it
Right.
was his way of, like, oh, haha, that, like, I know how she's going to be after this. Like, she's just going to go
Mhm.
drink and she's just going to act crazy. No, I didn't. I went to my prayer closet. I went to starting to pray by myself, or I started praying louder so my daughter could hear it, so she could see what you're supposed to do when someone does you wrong. So this time I didn't take it personal. This time I gave it to God, and God alone. And once I did that, baby, when I say, like, I have peace now. I'm not bothered by you. You can be all upset and miserable all you want. That's on you. That's not on me. That's on you. It's all how we choose to accept how people treat us. Once we stop feeling that way, once we start being that way, then that's when the doors get open. That's when things are like, oh, that makes more sense. But it takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of self-love. It takes a lot of putting your peace and respect first in order to get like that. It took me 4 years to finally get like that, because anytime that man ever tried to do this to me before, I would take it hella personal. Now, bye. You know, the only person who's going to see it is God and my kids. That's the only people who don't see it. Not, you ain't gonna bother me. That's not gonna bother me. All I'm gonna do is just pray for you harder, because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to take what you do to me personally, because if I do that, then I lose out on my blessing of helping you, or I lose out on the blessing of learning how to pray for you, even though you do me wrong. So that's where I'm at now, and not a lot of people can do it. It's not for the it's not for the easy-hearted, man. It really isn't. But I'm doing it.
Tell us about the pressures about raising kids, being a single parent woman, the pressures that brings to the table.
I mean, really, to be honest with you, the pressures are, I think that there's this people look at single mothers as, oh, she did wrong or whatever, right? As single mothers, it's tough because, you know, we sometimes have to do it on our own. We don't really get the help of the other party, because the other party, like my ex, what he does in his house is in his house. What I do in my house is what I do in my house. That's how he's always thought. I was always the one who learned if communication was key. But for him, that's not how he wanted it to be. So for me, I had to learn to appreciate who I was and what I brought as a mother. And built on that. I didn't want to be someone like someone else. I didn't want to be like this mother or that mother. I had to be what Malisa was as a mother, you know, and I learned to be honest with my children. You know, I'm honest with my daughter. I'm honest with my son. I don't really have a relationship with my oldest daughter, but that was because I had her at 16 and I grew up with her. So it was a little, she had a little more harsh feelings. But for my other two, I'm very open with them. And I think that's where a lot of people lose sight as a single parent, that they think that we're not supposed to do that. Like we're supposed to be stricter, or we're supposed to be mother and father. No, you know, God can be the father or the mother that is not there. It's really on us if we're diligent enough to pray for our children and be there for our children when our children needs us. Like my daughter, she was struggling with depression. She was struggling with her thoughts about her father and different things. And I had to be sometimes the punching bag sometimes, because she was upset, but she needed that safe zone where she could still be a child, but still process and still be an adult. And it was hard. It was hard as a single mom, because I couldn't get a day off. Like I couldn't be like, oh, fuck this shit. I don't want to deal with this. I don't, no, not today. Not today, darling, not today.
You had to do it.
Yeah, I had to do it. But it also taught me to show up for myself, because I saw just how much she was looking up at me. It showed me just how much she would pick up things for me. Like when I started to work out in the house, she started doing little stuff of eating better and working out and doing little things. It's all like, we are the examples. Just because you're a single parent doesn't mean anything. You can still be a really good parent regardless if you're single or not. I know for me, when I left my ex, everyone was like, oh, you shouldn't do that, and had all the judgment in the world. But I feel more blessed and more at peace now as a single mother than I did when I was married. You know, my kids.
No, go ahead.
My kids went through so much abuse. And, you know, I'm now seeing the natural consequences of those things. I'm seeing the natural consequences of how we parented them in the beginning of their life. And it sucked. It really sucked for them. And I have to ask for forgiveness all the time, because, you know, I didn't know any better. You know, when you do as a child, you think as a child, you do childish things, you do foolish things. So you don't really know what it means to be an adult until you start thinking mature and start really looking at yourself and stop blaming everybody else. That's when the growth happens. But sadly, I had my kids really young. I got married really young. I got divorced really young, even though I didn't want to, but it was either life or death. My daughter almost died. It was either I was going to leave and venture out and be a single mother, or I was going to end up having a dead child, one of my children dead from something or someone. And I refused to do that. Now, do they look at me crazy? Yeah, sometimes they do. They
They
really
all
do. But
do.
I look at them
Right.
like I have a better relationship with my kids now than I did
Right.
when I was married, because I'm more focused and more intentional when I'm
Yeah.
with them and around them and do things with them. And they appreciate a lot more. They're more open about the things that they say that they couldn't do when they were growing up, which makes it easier for me to stay sober, because that means,
Right.
oh, I'm doing something right. I'm being more logical with the things that I'm doing. I'm having my listening ears when you talk with me,
Right.
when we sit down and have conversations, when we sit down and do certain things together. I have my listening ears. I have the listening ears so that I know what to go and pray about for you. And that is the biggest blessing I could ever say. Now, is it easy? Heck no.
I
I
know.
struggle every day sometimes, from paycheck to paycheck and things, but I have faith that everything's going to work out for his good. So regardless of how it feels right now, it's going to be okay. And I see the growth in my children, regardless of how old they are. So that means, I'm doing something right.
Right. And I love this part that you said that, sometimes your kids are not going to always just be open-minded and understand what you go through. Because I'm going to try to get back to the part where you said you don't talk to your oldest as much. I can understand that, you know what I mean? Because in my journey, everybody know, if you're new to this channel right now, you probably don't know what I'm going to tell you. My addiction of choice was alcoholism. I battled with alcoholism for pretty much all of my entire life, from 17 to 30 plus. Alcohol was my drug of choice. Later on in my life, I started to dabble and dab with cocaine for about 2 years, and it took me down a whole nother level. You know what I mean? But during that time, Melissa, I would see my kids was coming in the house and always see me passed out or either drunk. And one night I woke up and I seen my daughter, my oldest daughter, looking at me. And she didn't even know I seen her. I seen the look on her face like, here we go again. That moment right there, you know what? It kind of shook me up. I kind of teared up that night. For some reason, God was talking to me. And I knew it was God, because out of the blue, I just started to tear up. And I started to get all these emotions. I didn't know where these emotions was coming from, but I knew that it was God talking to me like, okay, this is the
Mm-hmm.
time for you to get your shit together, stand on business, and do what you got to do. The next morning, I called this rehab facility, and I've been sober ever since. I called them, and they had a bed for me. So I understand the process that you go through. Sometimes, like you said, you had your child when you were 16. So, you was quite young yourself. And have you ever tried to go back and mend that relationship with your oldest child?
I've tried, but she's not ready. She's not ready, and I've accepted that part in her journey. Our, like when you say the time where I was like, oh, I know when I really messed up with her was
Mhm.
when I was in the middle of my divorce, and um I was drinking a lot more then. That's when I learned about alcohol, and I was doing some crazy behaviors. I would come to see her drunk,
Right.
I
I
would
know the
be really
feeling.
like, I would be like
Mhm.
crying all the time. And I was
Right.
really, really emotional. I didn't have control on my emotions or my temperament at all. And she really lost respect for me. She had always seen me as a strong woman. So once she saw me as that weak one, that's when she was like, well, I'm bye. Like I'm done. And then when when she felt like I chose her sister over her, because
Right.
she was struggling. My daughter was struggling with a lot of things back then. And my daughter at that time was like 16, almost 17. No, she was about 17. She just felt abandoned. And I looked at her and I'm like, you're not. I've pretty much been around you most of your life. Your sister's only 14. So it's time for me to put my energy into her. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And I had apologized, but I also wasn't acting correctly either. I was angry with her. I was talking smack to her. Like, you name it, I was doing. Like, I was a whole hot mess. And so she
Right.
just lost respect for me. And she even went so far as getting a tattoo reminding her how toxic her mother is. And it's been really difficult to swallow, but at the same time, it's like you have to accept your downfalls, and you have to accept where you failed your children. You have to accept where you damaged them in some shape, way, or form. And I'm very big on accepting that. And so now I'm determined to live my life better so that my daughter, my middle daughter, and my son will see a different side of me, so that when lo and behold, if my daughter does come around, they'll be able to witness for me and say, no, mom really was on her stuff. Like, she really got better. She really was determined to be a different person, you
Right.
know, and, you know, I know with kids, sometimes it takes another sibling to be like, hey, mom's better. You know, it's good. Like, it's like, she's not going to hurt you anymore, you know, and then I'll be able to say sorry to her. But until then, I had to pray and just ask for forgiveness from God and be like, okay, Lord, I just need you to watch over my daughter while I'm not in her life, you know, be with her through the things that she's going through. And I hope and pray that everything will be okay. But every kid goes through their own. I know when I had my mom and my mom was an alcoholic, I went through a good amount of years just like not wanting to really. I had a mixture of different things. Like, I wasn't as mean as my daughter. I really tried to have a relationship with my mom, but our relationship was very toxic. So I wasn't able to mend that. And so for me, it was really hard at first. The first year or two, it was really hard. I felt abandoned by my own kid, you know, but then I had to look at myself. I'm like, you're the adult, Melissa, you know, you did wrong too. You really hurt her. You know, she may have done wrong as a child and may have hurt you as a child, but she was in a hurt place. She was a hurt child. So how can you be angry with her when she was only a child? So I had to really sit down with that. And hopefully someday I'll be able to be on here and be like, hey, I saw her and, you know, da. But until then, you know, I just got to let her do her journey.
Do you think you're going through your battle with alcoholism, you're going through your battle with parenting at a young age, do you think that shaped you into the woman you are now on your
Yes.
spiritual journey? Okay.
Yes. Yes. It's a conversation I actually had with my daughter. So my daughter had asked me, she's like, are you happy you had kids so young? And I told her, I said, yeah, you know, having my kids so young blessed me to have something to push me towards. It gave me the fire I needed to dig down deep and get a relationship with God. I've always had God in my life. My family was, you know, I have an interesting history with my religion, you know, journey. And my children were a big reason why I went from, as you would say, there's a word there, the religious to spiritual. You know,
Okay.
with my children and raising them at first in the toxic lifestyle we had with my ex, it was a religious lifestyle. It was not a spiritual lifestyle. And as I got older and as my children got older and as I, you know, got away from alcoholism and got away from all of the things that were holding me back, that's when I dipped into this new sense of spirituality, which is like, I love God no matter what. I do believe in, you know, the blood and all of that stuff, but I also believe in, you know, that it is okay to learn from different mistakes that people have made in history, to learn why we have to believe in what we believe in, to be able to get it a more defined meaning to ourselves. For me, God had always been my father. Like, he had always been that. And there's a long history of why. So for me, when I had my children and things started to go really tough, I was looking at my children like, okay, you know what? I need to look at my relationship with you, Lord, because if I don't look at my relationship with you differently, my relationship with my children will crumble. And I refuse to crumble. I refuse to let that foundation crumble. I refuse to lose my children because my views were religious, not spiritual, weren't of love, and were more of a conviction. You know, once I changed my mindset in that, I started to see a change even in my children. I started even seeing a change on how I looked at myself and looked at people, and even looked at how I would treat my body or treat certain things about myself. So that, and it's crazy because not a lot of parents could say their children are their blessing. My children saved me. Literally, I wouldn't have left my ex-husband if I had not had my children. I would have not left my household, my family, you know, my mom, and pushed to be in the system if it wasn't for my daughter. And I wouldn't be as mature as I am now if it wasn't for my son, how he is with his, you know, journey with God. So it's like a whole combination of those things really, really changed who I am. And then me struggling with alcoholism really gave me a light to not judge other people in where they're at. You know, wherever anyone's at, I will never judge them. I am the most humblest person now because I struggled with alcoholism and because I struggled even raising my children. And it makes it so I'm the last one. I am the very last one who will ever say, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that," and point fingers at
Right.
you. No, baby.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, like, look by my example. Let me show you. Let me go in my little example box real quick, and
Right.
my blessings are being delivered real quick. And this is why you shouldn't do that. And this is what will happen if you do that, or if you choose to do that. All right, that's on you. But I'm just telling you, sister to sister, brother to sister, like that. Don't do that. I wouldn't do
What
that.
if,
Like I'll become the auntie.
because we got a lot of, when I went to my treatment, when I got
Mhm,
treatment, there's a lot of different types of treatment facilities. Some
mhm.
spiritual, some non-spiritual. What is your opinion on spirituality and recovery? Do it coincide together?
What do you mean?
Okay, with some people like to say that they can just go to treatment, and it can go to treatment without it being religious. Because
Mhm.
some treatment facilities do not have that spiritual or the biblical sense of it in their building. Some do, some don't. Do you think that spirituality plays a role in you getting sober?
It does. It does. You can look at your higher power any way you want to. You can look at it as God,
Right.
you can look at it as Buddha, you can look at it any way.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
have to have a higher power. If you don't
Mhm.
have a higher power, then it is impossible. It is impossible to stay sober. It really
Absolutely.
is, because you have to look at something beyond yourself to be able to fight those cravings, to be
Yeah.
able to be delivered from certain things that are chaining you to the alcoholism, that's
Right.
chaining you to those things. But if you don't have any higher power, I'm sorry, you're really going to go right back into the same stuff that
Exactly.
you do,
Exactly.
and it's sad. It's sad to see. It's sad, but there are some people that are atheists, and they find their own higher power in like earthing themselves or putting their feet in like the dirt, and that gives them a sense of higher power. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be God. It doesn't have to be anything. It just has to be something that you look up to that is higher than yourself. Once you do that, it's great. But it really, 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 really depends on you.
When did you think you opened the doors up for your spirituality? When did you get that spiritual awakening? When did it hit you?
Ah, when did it hit me? I think it hit me. It hit me throughout my life, all the time, throughout my whole life. It always hit me in some shape, way, or form. But my spirituality really, really hit when I got fed up with how people were treating other people. When I got fed up of how church folk were treating other church folk. When I got sick and tired of, the name calling and the talking about each other, even though we're supposed to be there and that's supposed to be a hospital. The church is supposed to be a hospital. It's supposed to be where you get better. But I started to see that it wasn't. And I started to get the backlash of it because I was different. I've always been a different breed. I've always been that person that could get called any kind of name because I'm not just one variety of Melissa. So for
Mhm.
me, it was to a point where I was like, you know what, enough is enough, because this isn't helping me. I need to find my own relationship with, God. I have to find my own relationship with my higher power, because if I don't, I am going to be crushed under all of this. And that's when I literally got on my hands and knees and I was like, Lord, I really need you, because I've always came to you. I've always asked of you. I've always asked you to take me from, to guide me and to guide my feet. But now I'm really to a point that I will let you guide me in any shape, way, or form. And once I did that, and once I had that vulnerability with him, that's when there was a shift in the atmosphere. That's when there was a shift in my mindset. That was when, there was a shift in the as they say, that's when there was that silent shift in my body and my mind, and where I really started to change the way I said things, the way I looked at things, and I started seeing people differently. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to start reading the Bible a little bit differently and with purpose. But now I'm really going to digest it and use it, and be able to explain it to myself and use the tools that I had learned over the years in church, but use it now in a more spiritual sense of things, and be able
Right.
to really look at the things that I had done in my past and the things that I had done in my life, and use the things that I was learning in my new spirituality, and see how it coincided with each other, and how, that makes you more, humble, and makes you more kinder, and makes you more nicer to people, and makes you more I guess you could say non-judgmental of yourself and
Mhm.
non-judgmental of other people, and really opens the gateway of loving unconditionally, and opens the gateway of truly just being authentic and being who you are, no matter what it looks like to other people. And that's when the spirituality grew. That's when the freedom came. That's when I was able to speak how I speak and look how I look and do what I do, because I stopped worrying about everybody else and started really worrying about how he looked at me. I no longer cared about anybody else. I no longer cared except what he saw of me and what he said in the word. And once I really understood that, that's when the spirituality even grew to 10 times like faster and 10 times stronger. And the more I didn't want to drink, the more I didn't want to, listen to this music or watch this or see this or look at that or, those things, the more I was more intentive of what I put around me, what kind of energy and, happiness and joy that I put around me. And if you weren't of happiness of joy, then bye-bye. That's what I would say. And that really even anchored me even more into my spirituality, because I started to become joyful and at peace with how Malisa was. That made it easier for me not to pick up the drink. That made it easier for me to show up for myself and work out. It made it easier for me to do the things that already came naturally to me, but it had gotten really like mucked by alcohol or mucked by my emotions or depression or whatever. And so now I'm just me, regardless of what people.
After everything you done went through, how do you love now? How do you look at life? You sober, you got your spirituality, you awaken, you seeing life through another lens, you analyzing things, you got your relationship back with your youngest kids. That relationship is growing and prospering. You starting to glow. You being back to yourself. So where's the love at? How do you love now? Do you love differently from the way you used to?
For right now, I'm learning to love myself.
Right.
I'm learning to love myself with purpose. I'm learning to love myself, with determination, because how can I love someone else if I wasn't able to love myself? And
Say
that was
it
something
again,
that
so the people in the back can hear that, girl.
I have to love myself before I can love someone else.
Absolutely.
I had to learn to be consistent with God and be consistent with myself and show up for myself first before I could ever show up for someone else, before I could ever get in a relationship with someone else. I had to really, really be in that mode. And that's kind of where my year is really focusing on learning to truthfully love myself and know who I am as a person and be able to see the flaws and the mistakes that I did in my other relationship, and to see the flaws and the mistakes that I may have done with my children and how I loved my children, and learning what my love language is and learning what other people love language is, and having a ear to hear, what people are talking about and what people are saying about, what people are saying, and really have an attentive love. But now I have an agape love for myself and for people around me, but it's kind of from a distance when it comes to people, because I'm not in a place right now where I could really be in a relationship. And so I have learned to have discernment before I even get involved with anyone or be around anyone, because I don't want to go back into my old habits and I'm not ready. They say when you're in the sober lifestyle and you're in the AA, don't date or anything for a whole year. And so I'm really seeing why that's so important, because in that year, you really learn who you are. You really learn what your triggers are. You learn what, you need to work on. And it gives you time to go through therapy. It gives you time to write. It gives you time to find purpose in your life. It gives you time to change bad habits into good habits. It gives you that time. And so I'm really taking this time to love Malisa. I still love everybody else, don't get me wrong, but I love you all from a distance. I only have one friend, one best friend, and I love her to death. Her name's Samantha, that I love continuously and will see her on a regular basis. But that's because she saw me through my ups and my downs and my ins and my outs. And, I've become her cheerleader. She's become my cheerleader. But when it comes to people, I have to learn to trust people again. I have to learn trust myself again. And in order to do that, I have to love myself, and I have to understand why I have a mistrust for people, why I have a mistrust for things around me, like what caused that. And once I learn the cause of that, then maybe I'll get into a place where I can love again. Because trust me, baby, I will be married hopefully by the time I'm 45.
Absolutely.
I would love to
Absolutely.
be like, I know I'm going to be married again, and I know I'm
Right.
going to be a wife. And, I
Right.
even write it on I call it my affirmation board in my
Affirmation. Mhm.
yeah, in my I call it my affirmation board and my manifestation board. And
Absolutely.
that's on there. But until then, I just have to go through the process. I have to go through the pruning process. I have to go through, weeding out the bad habits that I had in myself and start loving myself and filling those bad habits with good habits. Because how can I be around someone if I'm still doing things to harm my temple, if I'm still doing things
Mhm.
that are harmful to myself and are self-destructive to myself? Because that just shows the gentleman I'm around that, oh, she doesn't
Mhm.
love herself. I'm not even going to be around that, and won't even, bring that kind of energy or that kind of man that I'm really wanting in my life. In order
Right.
to have that in my life, I have to manifest it into reality. I have
Mhm.
to speak positivity into it. I have to speak to positivity in myself in order to give out that kind of energy to get that kind of gentleman that I deserve. I
So,
was married for 12 years, so I don't want to go
mhm.
through like bad 12 years again.
Right, right. So what make Melissa smile? What make you smile at this point of your life?
Man, everything. My daughter, she's funny as heck. Like, she makes me laugh all the time.
Right,
My dog, he's my puppy. He has little humor. Having a routine every day really makes me happy and makes me smile. Praying and having a relationship with God has made me smile. Getting up and looking at the sunrise makes me smile. Like, everything gives me joy now. There's not very much that doesn't give me joy. And the things that don't give me joy, I tend to try to get away from it, because I don't it makes me feel icky,
mhm,
so, but I'm realistic. Everybody's not butterflies and rainbows.
right,
So especially with my daughter, I have learned to be okay with the not so rainbows and butterflies, and to give everyone grace and give myself grace, because I don't always wake up happy every morning. But
right, right,
I've noticed when I show up for myself and I really have, and I make sure I'm purposeful of my life and what I'm doing in that day, it gives me joy and it gives me peace and it gives me this joy beyond anyone's understanding. That gives me joy even when things are rough. It gives me, this sense of peace that surpasses all drama, surpasses all wrongdoing, surpasses all things, to the point that I can laugh, wholeheartedly laugh, to the point where it's not a fake laugh, it's a full-hearted, lovely laugh. And it's true,
mhm,
but the bad part about that is not everybody in this world is ready for that. And
right.
I'm learning
Mo-
that some people are actually look for people like that so they can take that away from them. But
Right.
I've gotten so much joy in myself that no one can take this joy from me. And if you
Mo-
try to take this joy from me, I will walk away from you happily, because this joy took too long to get.
That's what I was just going to ask you. That was going to lead up to my next question. Moving forward, whenever you get in a relationship with a man, um, and things are not going as well as you think, y'all have some little ups and downs. Instead of running to alcohol, to your safe haven, instead of trying to escape into the bottle,
Mhm.
what do you have in plan to help you not to go back to that? What do you do?
Um, I have learned a routine.
Hmm.
I actually want to say something to press play, because I'm seeing that they're so depressed, and
Yeah, yeah,
they're
exactly.
enjoying the
I was
positivity.
reading that. I was gonna get to that
Oh,
at the end, but yeah, go say something.
I
Yeah.
want to say something to them, because you know
Hmm.
I lived with depression. I live with depression on a regular basis.
Right.
And I have learned that a routine, and having that routine every day helps. Even
Right.
when you don't want to get up, you have to show up for yourself, even with the most smallest thing. It could be simply just washing your face and being like, you know what? I am so happy that you actually washed your face today. I was like, oh my gosh, you actually took a shower today. Like,
Hmm.
and cheer for yourself, be goofy. even though it feels uncomfortable at first, the more you do it, the more you're like, I have to do this for myself. I have to be like, I got to do a whole cheerleading move when I do something. Um, it it helps from keeping yourself out away from alcohol. It keeps you away from the stinking thinking, and also like going for a walk. So to connect to what you had asked, when I do get in that relationship and when they, when it starts getting funky, I will use the habits that I have learned now by myself. I will use those in that relationship. So if we're having a hard time, I will go for like a little walk and be like, hey, can you walk with me? You don't have to say anything. We can have little earphones on. That's fine. But let's work together. Let's be in the sunshine. Let's enjoy, the earth and what the world looks like right now. And then, come back inside, have a nice cold glass of water and sit down and be like, okay, you know what? Can we talk about this? Can we have some communication about like what's going on right now, because this is making me feel really uncomfortable. And I hope the man that I'm with will already see that I'm a very communicative person. Like I have to be communicative. There is no such thing as silence, because to me, silence will kill a marriage. Silence always kills a marriage. That's why a lot of people get divorced, because they are no longer talking to each other. They're no longer listening to one another. They're no longer,
There's
listening
no
to love
communication.
languages.
Yeah,
Or
no
they're like
communication.
forgetting that, you change over time, and that you have to, as a relationship, you need to change with that time. And so I know with the man that I'm going to be married to, he's already going to know that about me, because I'm one of those girls that say at gate, this is how I am. This is who I am, because I put in too much dang work to not be truthful and authentic of who I am. So I will use those habits, and hopefully, God willing, that, I'll be able to be with a mate that, does it with me and just like, you know what, I can see why we need to do this. Let's do this, and, want and love me enough. And I love him enough that we show up for each other. Maybe he will need that time where he needs to be by himself, but we put a little timer on it. We'd be like, okay, you could go play the video game for like a couple hours. Okay. But before we go to bed, we need to pray with each other and we need to talk, because if we don't, when we go to sleep, and we wake up, we're going to want to drink. We're going to want to be angry. We're going to want to do things that aren't ordinary us, not how this is, and make us into the people that we didn't meet. Like, that's not how you met me. So
hold on,
why
Melissa. I want to say something to Press Play. Press Play, you are in a safe space right here. Believe me, I understand what you're going through. And if you are battling depression right now, I am here for you. You can email me. Email me, Press Play at SoberMediaLLC@mail.com. I will have my email right after this, because this is a live. I will have everything for you to reach me at, because I really want to talk to you, because depression is very serious, and I take that serious. This channel, the Sober Gang Experience, I created this channel just for us to have a place to come to and express our feelings, express what we're going through, have a safe space where we can talk and we can congregate together as one. So you are not by yourself. Please do never think that you're by yourself, because you got some people over here that is rooting for you. Please don't give up wherever you at in this world, whatever state you're in. Please don't give up. And one thing I would love for you to do before this night over with is talk to somebody.
Yes.
Do not hold that in. The best way, the best thing you can do is to talk about it. Don't hold it in. Please talk to somebody, and please contact me, because I would love to talk to you. We can send some emails to each other and we can just go over this. I'm praying for you. Peace,
and
love,
then
and happiness.
also like Press Play, like depression really sucks. I battle with depression every day. I have to take antidepressants every day, because I have to show up for myself, so I don't, feel sad. Because if I miss my medicine, or, I drink, or I don't eat correctly, or don't sleep correctly, I notice I don't even get out of bed. But I want to tell you that you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself grace to be okay with how you're feeling right now. But also, like he said, is also talk to someone. The only way to be able to really heal from depression is talking with someone, is to really have that safe space where you can really dig deep of What's making you sad? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not anything. Sometimes it's just how life is going right now. And when that happens, it takes a toll on us. You know, life is like things around the world right now aren't pretty. And it
Yeah.
does feel depressing and
Right.
it does make you feel depressed. And it makes it look like there's this big cloud that's over you that, you know, that feels heavy and makes it feel like you have these rocks that you just can't carry on your own. And that's why God sends people like me that, you know, will give you joy and positivity and just be like, just hold on just a little bit longer, because trust me, the sunshine will come. The sunshine will
Absolutely.
come and you'll be like, oh my goodness. And you'll look back and be like, holy crap, I cannot
Yeah.
believe I used to be so depressed,
Yeah.
because I was in a depressed place so bad that I didn't even get out of bed for days.
Mhm.
I wouldn't eat for days. It was horrible. But I had to take little itty bitty steps, little small steps. I mean, the most smallest steps of like brushing my teeth, you know, and like slowly, gradually get myself to doing this and doing that and just keep pushing myself. And then I would visualize what I wanted to become. I had to visualize, I want to be this, and I am going to find
Mhm.
everything and anything to make sure I can be that.
Absolutely. And like I said, press play. You got some people here. I am here. I created this channel. I'm telling you, exclusively for us. If you have any problems, any issues with your depression, please contact me. We can figure out something from there. I know people. I know facilities. I know a helpline that you can call and that can assist you professionally. So that is the reason why we going live today. This is a spiritual awakening, and thank everybody that's in this chat right now, good or bad. I can't read them all right now because they're flooded. Good or bad, I salute
I mean,
everybody
we
that
don't
is
care.
in.
We love
Yeah,
the love and we don't
yeah,
mind
we
haters.
love, we appreciate the love. This is my dear friend of mine. This is Melissa Slack, and you are now experiencing a sober gang experience interview. I'm the host, Mr. Show Out TV, and I would love for you guys, if you still watching right now and you love any parts of this content right now, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe on your way out. Melissa, before I get you out of here,
Mm-hmm.
cause this interview went longer than I expected. Hey, I love it.
Always
We're gonna start.
hard to
Look,
know
you guys.
that.
To everybody out there right now, I am in my car and it's nighttime. I'm in Arkansas. Melissa is in California. You see the two differences. It's day, night here, and it's light there. So I'm gonna start doing this more often. I'm gonna call it addiction at night when we just have conversations. I'm sitting in my car right now. You know, I usually do the whole full show and have the overlays and the intros and the bells and whistles. But I'm gonna start doing this a little bit more because I feel like I could be more free without having all the equipment around, and I can just be
Mhm.
myself and just hang out with you guys. So I would love for you
Next
guys to
time I
make
have
sure.
you with me.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to this channel because we will be doing this a lot more often. I know you guys probably, if you knew seeing me right now, you go see me a lot more, and you will see Melissa a lot more because she is my apprentice, and I'm raising her up under my covenant, and I'm gonna make her into a sensation, and we finna get this YouTube popping. Y'all go see her,
Uh-huh.
and go see me. Y'all know what it is, know what it is. But before I let my best friend get up out of here, it's a few things I want to ask you. You know how I do.
Uh-huh.
Finish this sentence for me.
What's up?
My name is Melissa, and I am
Wonderfully and awesomely made.
awesome. Finish this sentence for me. Today, I will not.
Today, I will not think about my failures, but think about the lessons that I learned from them.
Awesome. After everything you've been through, everything you've done, what have it taught you, and what have you learned?
I learned to give myself grace. I've learned that a healing journey is different for everybody. It takes however long it takes, but it's worth it. I've learned more about myself for taking the time to love myself and to really take the time to heal and not rush the process. that I am the most joyous and happiest I've ever been. And I actually look forward to being sober every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. I love you. Ah,
I love you
thank
too.
you. Thank you for
You're
giving me your,
welcome.
yeah, thank you for giving me this time. I'm gonna go back and watch the replay. I want you to go watch the replay as well. Because you know these vertical lives, they be drawing a lot of attention and a lot of engagement, and that's what we're getting today. I would love to say thank you to everybody that is in the chat right now. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to the Sober Gang Experience. I'm your host, Mr. Show TV. I am 3 years sober and clean, and I created this channel so we can have a safe space where we can engage and we can have interviews and we can talk people that is in addiction from recovery. Thank you again, Miss Malisa. I will see
You're
you again.
welcome. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you. Thank you. There you have it, everybody. There you have it. Miss Malisa was in the building with us today. And I'm gonna try to, yeah, let me see. I'm trying to cut it off too. You know how to do it, Melissa? Okay, there she go. Thank you, everybody. I'm your host, Mr. Show TV. And like I said before, man, Melissa has been on this channel before. I have interviewed her before. Press play. If you are depressed right now, please talk to somebody, please. Um, like I said, email me at SoberMediaLLC@mail.com. I can talk to you because I know how depression, that stuff is something you really don't want to play with. Please talk to somebody, email me, or I can have you to talk to Miss Melissa. This is what we're trying to do, everybody. My channel is to inspire and motivate people. We are dedicated exclusively to inspire and motivate people in addiction. That is one reason why I started this channel. I'm telling you guys, I've been down that road. I understand addiction. I was tired. I was tired, you guys. It was one time I woke up, I said, I can't do this shit no more. I'm through drinking. I'm through drugging. I made it in my mind that I was through with that shit. And I was through with that shit. Right after I got out of rehab, you guys, I started the Sober Gang Experience YouTube channel, and I have not looked back since. I put alcoholism and drugging in my damn rearview mirror, and I'm not looking back. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm back in college. I'm finna get my master's in drug and alcohol counseling. This is my second year. I made the dean list both of my years in all semesters, so I am doing great. I would love for you guys to continue to come to this channel, fellowship with me, and we can continue to inspire and motivate people in addiction. Please don't let this be your last time coming over here, visiting me, because I interview people from all around the world, and they come to my platform to share their stories about addiction, to inspire and motivate you guys that is battling an active addiction. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. Like I said, I'm Mr. Show TV, and my guest speaker today was Miss Melissa. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe on your way out. Y'all know how we do. This is Addiction at Night, live with Mr. Show TV. Peace, love, happiness to everybody out there. Stay safe, stay sober, stay positive. Key word for the day, stay positive. Press play. Please go talk to somebody. I'm going to keep you in my prayers. Peace and love. Please go talk to somebody. Press play. I am with you. You are not alone. You are not alone. Thank you again. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this live stream on all of your social media accounts. Peace, love, happiness. Mr. Show TV. I see you guys on the next one.